If you're a cat lover, then you may be surprised by this interesting fact. Cats can't taste anything that's sweet. That's probably why they can't get enough of their favorite salty snack. Not only are sea lions totally adorable, but they're also very musical. They are the only animal that can clap to a beat. Whether you've seen a tiger in real life or in a photo, you know that they have striped fur, but they actually have striped skin as well. In a group of 23 people, there is a 50% chance that two will share the same birthday. The most expensive film ever made was Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides, which cost $378 million to create. For reference, the average budget for a big studio movie is around $65 million. Did you know that Iceland grows 5 centimeters per year because of its moving tectonic plates? There are more people in California than Canada, despite the fact that Canada is more than 2,000% larger in size than California. Slugs have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 noses. They don't work like human noses do, exactly. Instead, they sense chemicals, sounds, lights, and more. It takes a sloth 2 to 4 weeks to digest food. They actually have the slowest metabolic system of any mammal. Bees can sting other bees, usually if they feel threatened or are protecting their territory. In other words, you're not the only one who's scared of getting stung. You may be jealous of a bird's ability to fly, but it may soothe your envy to learn they can't live in space because they need gravity to swallow. You probably know that snails are petty, slow creatures. But did you know that they also take the longest naps? One nap can last up to 3 years. All the world's bacteria stacked on top of each other would stretch for 10 billion light years. Together, Earth's 0.001 millimeters long microbes could wrap around the Milky Way over 20,000 times. Wearing a tie can reduce blood flow to the brain by 7.5%. A study in 2018 found that wearing a necktie can reduce the blood flow to your brain by up to 7.5%, which can make you feel dizzy, nauseous, and cause headaches. The world's oldest dog lived to 29.5 years old. While the median age a dog reaches tends to be about 10 to 15 years, one Australian cattle dog, Bluey, survived to the ripe old age of 29.5. Everyone's tongue print is different. Like the fingerprint, it has unique features that differ from person to person. It would take 19 minutes to fall to the center of the earth. Scientists have worked this out. They haven't tried it in real life. In the course of an average lifetime, while sleeping, you could eat around 70 different insects and 10 spiders, or more. Pigs can't look up into the sky. The anatomy of their spine and neck muscles limits their movement and restricts their head from being able to look upwards. A crocodile cannot stick its tongue out. They have a membrane that holds their tongue in place on the roof of their mouth, so it can't move. Japan has over 200 flavors of Kit Kats. They're exclusively created for different regions, cities, and seasons. There are some tasty sounding ones like banana, blueberry cheesecake, and Oreo ice cream, as well as some very questionable ones like baked potato, melon and cheese, wasabi, and vegetable. The Eiffel Tower was originally intended for Barcelona. The Spanish city thought it was too ugly, so Gustave Eiffel pitched it to Paris instead. French critics weren't too thrilled either, but it's one of the most famous landmarks in the world today. Queen Elizabeth II had a stand-in to make sure the sun wouldn't get in her eyes. Ella Slack was a similar height to the late Queen, so she would rehearse big events beforehand to make sure everything would be comfortable for the monarch. However, she wasn't allowed to sit on the throne. The shortest commercial flight in the world is in Scotland. Regional airline Loganair flies between the islands Westray and Papa Westray. The journey is just 1.7 miles and takes 90 seconds. There's only one country on Earth without mosquitoes: Iceland. Its low temperatures make it impossible for the pest to breed. Crows can recognize human faces and remember them for their entire lives. They've also been known to leave gifts for humans. Just like human babies suck their thumbs, baby elephants sometimes suck on their trunks. They can also stand within 20 minutes of birth, though they can't see for a while, and instead sense their mothers through sound and smell. Elephants are also the only mammal that cannot jump. The sun makes a sound, but we can't hear it. In the form of pressure waves, the sun does make a sound. The wavelength of the pressure waves from the sun is measured in hundreds of miles, however, meaning they are far beyond the range of human hearing. Mount Everest isn't the tallest mountain on Earth. Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa in Hawaii are taller than Mount Everest due to 4.2 kilometers of their heights being submerged underwater. The twin volcanoes measure a staggering 10.2 kilometers in total, compared to Everest's paltry 4.6 kilometers. The world's oldest cat lived to 38 years and 3 days old. Cream Puff was the oldest cat to ever live. Humans are the only animals that blush. Apparently, we're also the only animals that experience embarrassment too. This is because it's a complex emotion that involves understanding other people's opinions. The world's longest walking distance is 14,000 miles. You can walk from Magadan in Russia to Cape Town in South Africa. It requires no flying or sailing, just bridges and open roads. Ketchup was once sold as medicine. The condiment was prescribed and sold to people suffering with indigestion back in 1834. There are more than 1,000 types of bananas growing in the world. These can then be divided into 50 categories. The blob of toothpaste on a toothbrush has a name. It's called a nurdle, and there was once a lawsuit over which toothpaste company had the right to portray it. Dolphins have names for one another. According to National Geographic, dolphins use a unique whistle to distinguish between different members in their pod. Russia has a whopping 11 time zones within the country, which gives you an idea of just how large it is. Do you want to know the place that has more caves than any other location on Earth? Kentucky. May be worth adding to your vacation list. The Sahara Desert can reach up to 136 degrees. Its average temperature is actually about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's pretty much always hot. Earth's rotation is changing speed. It's actually slowing. This means that, on average, the length of a day increases by around 1.8 seconds per century. 600 million years ago, a day lasted just 21 hours. Your brain is constantly eating itself. This process is called phagocytosis, where cells envelop and consume smaller cells or molecules to remove them from the system. Don't worry, phagocytosis actually helps preserve your gray matter. The largest piece of fossilized dinosaur poo discovered is over 30 centimeters long and over 2 liters in volume, believed to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex turd. The fossilized dung is helping scientists better understand what the dinosaur ate. Animals can experience time differently from humans. To smaller animals, the world around them moves slowly. Salamanders and lizards experience time more slowly than cats and dogs. This is because the perception of time depends on how quickly the brain can process incoming information. The universe's average color is called cosmic latte. In a 2002 study, astronomers found that the light coming from galaxies averaged into a beige color that's close to white. A chicken once lived for 18 months without a head. It was recorded back in the 1940s in the USA. It survived as its jugular vein and most of its brainstem were left mostly intact, ensuring just enough brain function remained for survival. In the majority of cases, a headless chicken dies instantly. Identical twins don't have the same fingerprints. You can't blame your crimes on your twin. After all, this is because environmental factors during development in the womb impact your fingerprint. Giraffes are 30 times more likely to get hit by lightning than people. There are only 5 well-documented fatal strikes on giraffes between 1996 and 2010, but due to the population of the species being just 140,000 during this time, it makes for about 0.003 deaths per thousand giraffes each year. A cloud weighs around 1 million tons. A cloud typically has a volume of around 1 km3 and a density of around 1.003 km per m3. That's a density that's around 0.4% lower than the air surrounding it. This is how they are able to float. Blue whale tongues can weigh as much as an elephant. Their hearts can also weigh almost a ton and only need to beat once every 10 seconds. There's an ant species unique to New York City, called Manhattans. Biologists found them in a specific 14-block strip of the city. People used to say prunes instead of cheese when getting their pictures taken. In the 1840s, a cheesy grin was seen as childish, So a London photographer told people to say prunes to keep their mouths tight. Now, you know why people never smiled in old photos. Kim Kardashian has a glam clause in her will. It states that if she's ever in a position where she can't get ready herself, can't communicate, or she's unconscious, someone has to make sure her hair, nails, and makeup are all perfect. An ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain. This could be why the birds often run round in circles when trying to escape predators, despite their fast-running speed. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. It's 120 times smaller than the island of Manhattan.